You're listening to Engaging Early Learners. I'm Rachel Glassman, special education teacher and resource creator. This podcast is your go-to for classroom strategies and teaching support that you can actually use. Whether you're on your way to work or heading home, I'm so glad you're here. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Engaging Early Learners. We are continuing our summer guest series today. We only have 2 guests left, and today is one of them. Today, I am joined by someone I get to work with every single day at my school, which makes me so happy. Our amazing school counselor, Jenn. I feel like school counselors are definitely one of those positions that everyone knows exists, but a lot of people don't actually know, like, what do they do all day? And that makes it sound like you do nothing. You do too much. So today we're pulling back the curtain a little bit on what the role really looks like, how counselors support students and teachers, what they can and can't help with, and how we can all better support student mental health, maybe even teacher mental health, counselor mental health. So Jenn, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Hey.
Also a little bit nervous, but that's okay. You get nervous at times and you just work through it. So,
And that's why she's our great school counselor. So, first of all, Jenn, since the people might not know you, can you maybe give us a brief overview on you? Like, what made you want to be a school counselor? What was your how did you kind of get here? Like, what other positions did you have first? How did you get to where you are now? Do not mention any specific like schools or anything, but kind of share like how you got to your position now.
yeah. So, I didn't originally want to be a school counselor, or I didn't know what a school counselor was, I guess is the right way to go about that. When I was a little girl, I wanted to be a teacher, like most little girls. I had my stuffed animals around the table and I teach them everything from school. Um, that's what I did. I went to college. I went to Rutgers and to go for their education degree. I got there, I took a course, and I remember I was working with a teacher and she was just like, don't do this. And I was like, oh my goodness, like I'm a freshman in college, mind you. So like this was like
Yeah.
my first semester and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then like I remember going back to my dorm crying because I'm like, what do I do with the rest of my life? Um, but she was just like, it's so much stress, you don't get paid enough, like it's just like find something else. So I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. So I went to my next course, which was a psychology class. And when I tell you, this professor was amazing. He looked like Albert Einstein, but he was like so engaging, so motivate. Like I wanted to go to the class, and it was like a 7:30 at night class. So like I wanted to go to this class. Um, I took every class he offered at Rutgers, and I just realized I was like, ooh, like I'm actually interested in psychology. So I started taking more classes on it. And I was like, okay. So I graduated with my psychology degree and a minor in education. And then I was like, what do I do now? And so I
Oh,
took
right. A job.
right. So I took a year off. I actually started working in a school as an instructional assistant in an ABA classroom. I know you dealt with ABA last week, so
Yes.
um
So everyone knows, but
what that is.
primarily autistic children. Yeah.
Yes. So and I loved it, but it actually worked out nicely because then I decided I wanted to go for school counseling. I loved being in the school and I wanted to work with children and help them. And so I finally decided on school counseling. So it was great because I didn't have any of the tasks of a teacher or responsibilities of a teacher. Like I could leave and just go home and do my graduate work, or I would do it on my lunch break, or it was very fitting. It was a very fitting job for what I needed at the time. And it taught me a lot because a lot of what I learned working in special education, I use as a school counselor,
Oh, yeah.
especially in school.
And as a mom.
And as a mom, yes, that too. So all my roles in life kind of like molded into one, and this is the
Yeah.
Jenn that you see now. Um, so yeah, that's how I got to school counseling. I graduated. It took me a while actually to find a job. So I say I was an instructional assistant for 10 plus years. And I've been a school counselor for 4 years.
And we are lucky enough to have Jenn full-time at our school. I know every district's different, every state, whatever. We have one school counselor at every elementary school in our district. My old district was the same. Actually, all the districts I've been in have been the same, where we are lucky enough to have one full-time school counselor, and we do not need to share you. We definitely need you full-time. We need you in all places at all times, so we're very lucky to have you.
And I'm lucky to work with everyone, you and all the teachers and the staff that I get to work with is incredible. I wouldn't be able to do my job without any of you or any of the staff. It's a give and take kind of job.
I agree. What do you wish you had known before becoming a school counselor, if anything? Like, do you feel like you wish you had some warnings or just some pieces of advice before you got started, maybe for a new school counselor listening?
So when you're in the coursework for becoming a school counselor, they really drill in your head about ASCA, which is the American School Counseling Association.
Okay.
And in there, they give you this ratio of for every 250 students, there's one school counselor. Now I'll tell you that would be like in a perfect world.
Of course.
Most schools don't follow that ratio. In fact, our school is double that.
Yep.
And still just me as the school counselor. It makes it really difficult because when I first saw that, I was like, wow, one school counselor for 250 kids. How do you do it? And now I'm like, I'm one school counselor for 500 kids. How do I do it?
But still, like, how do you do it?
So it's, I wish I kind of, they were a little bit more realistic with that, because I think it gives the notion that, oh yeah, you're going to help these 250 kids but yeah, you're going to help 250 and then 250 more. And, so that, and also I think every school district kind of uses their school counselor a little bit differently in those like off tasks. So at my first job as a school counselor, I was like the state testing coordinator.
Yes.
Which I hated. So happy I'm not doing that anymore. But at the school that I am at now, I have like arrival and dismissal duties. Some years I've had lunch duty. You could probably ask me on one of my hands how many times I attended my lunch duty because
of
priorities.
Right.
But yeah, so I think like that was another thing. I think that like when you're going for like a teacher, like, oh, this is what you're doing as a teacher. As a school counselor, it's very different.
Yeah. So speaking of that, actually, you're leading me into my next topic. So thank you very much. What does a typical day look like? And I know we could probably sit here for 1 hour and talk just about what you do during the day, but if you could just give us little snippets, because I know for you, it is never the same. And it's kind of similar to when I talked to Courtney last week on the pod. She's the BCBA, the behaviorist in her school, and her days are all over the place depending on those walkie calls. I know your life is similar. So if you could just give us a little bit of insight to kind of help give people an idea of what you do every day.
Yeah, so a typical day, I don't have a typical day. I think that's where I'm going to start with that is there is no typical day for a school counselor, at least for the role that I play at our school. I would say though, mostly what I do is I teach certain lessons to students. I go in the classrooms, I teach some lessons. I run groups. I do see students individually. I go out for recess occasionally. I am a very hands-on counselor. I like to think, I like to be more proactive than reactive. So very rarely will you ever see me in my office.
We can attest to that because the Friday Cafe cart tries to deliver to you and you're never there. And I see you all around all the time. So hands-on is an understatement, but keep going.
So those tasks are usually what I'm doing throughout a day. Maybe, I have meetings, checking up on like 504 plans, if I have any HIBs, dealing with that, responding to walkie calls. That's usually That's a daily occurrence. But
Yeah, definitely some behavior things you are assisting with, because
right.
I did share on the last week's episode, we don't have a behaviorist in our school full time, whereas Courtney was saying she is full time in her school. So they're not like calling for their school counselor. We are sometimes using you in that role to help
Yeah.
support. Yes.
And I'm happy to do it. Like that's part of being a school counselor, I feel like, is you go where you're needed. Wherever you can provide the support, that's where you're gonna go. And the best way you can help students, the best way I can help the students is by helping the teachers and supporting them. So whatever they need, whatever help they need, I'm always happy to help.
Yeah, and you do a great job with that.
Thank you.
What are the typical like student profiles that you see that make you want to pull that student for individual or group support from you? Like I actually genuinely don't know how that works. Like how do you choose who's coming to groups with you, who you're seeing individually, what needs to be like approved by parents? Like what is all that like?
So for my groups, I usually go by what the teachers recommend. So I'll be like, "Oh, I'm going to run a social skills group." Um maybe like with the first graders. And then I'll ask the first grade teachers who do they feel would be a good fit. Um and so then typically when I go through my group, sometimes I'll find a student that I'm like, they might need a little bit more. Like the group setting might be too much for them, and I really want to hone in on those skills more individually. So then the teacher and I will work it out that we can kind of find a time during the day to meet that student's needs. Usually, if I do that with a student, I like to get parent permission, just so the parents are aware that, we're working on this. And also, like, hey, if you want to work on it at home, I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I take a lot of teacher recommendation because as the teachers, you're with the students all day.
Yeah.
I'm there when as needed.
Yeah. So for groups, you don't need to get like parent permission. You're able to pull those groups whenever.
I do send permission slips home to parents. I actually do like a reverse permission slip. Like if you don't want your student to be pulled for group, please sign.
Okay.
'Cause I think that that's easier than doing it the other way. So this way I know, and usually like if they sign it in kindergarten, then I know all the way up to fourth grade they don't want that service.
Right. Do you get that often, you think?
Um, no, not that. Like maybe a handful of students,
Okay.
but not that often.
So I think surrounding your job, you probably hear a lot of like statements that you know are not true or misconceptions. So I'm going to state some and you clear them up for us, clear them up for the audience, whether a parent is listening, an admin, teacher, other counselors. I think this would be good for everybody to hear. And let's all be mindful as we're listening. This is specific to Jenn and our school. Everyone's different. So, Jenn, school counselors just handle the schedules.
No. I don't handle like I'm brought in to like discuss scheduling, but I don't have the final say on scheduling.
What about student placement in classes? Since you have such a great perspective in knowing all the kids, do you play a role in helping with placements?
So I do sit down and I will give my opinions, my thoughts, what I feel is best for a student. I'm always going to advocate for a student, um, especially when I feel strongly. But again, I don't have final say in that.
Right. And what kind of things are you advocating for? Is it like students not to be together, or maybe a certain student matches a certain teacher's personality?
Both. I think there are, um, I'm like the conflict coach, and I, deal with a lot of conflicts. So, if I see two students really going at it all year, probably not a good idea for them to be in the same class next year. They probably
Yeah.
need a break, some space. So I might bring that to the table and be like, hey, this probably isn't a good idea for next year. Similarly, listen, I know that as a school counselor, I might not be everyone's cup of tea. I feel I know certain students might vibe well with a different teacher,
Yeah.
and that again, I'm going to say my 2 cents and you either take it or leave it kind of a thing. But I would feel like I was doing a disservice to a student if I didn't properly advocate for that.
Yeah, and you are such a good advocate of our students, which is why I love working with you because I feel I'm the same way. Like I'll fight to the death for my kids, and I love that you do the same. This is a funny one. School counselors only deal with behavior.
Um, I would say
Days.
most days, yes, I do deal with a lot of behavior, but that's not all that I do. I teach a lot of lessons. I teach coping skills. I teach students all a variety of skills, a variety of strategies. Like I said, I do my groups, I do individual lessons, I collaborate with teachers. I'm doing observations of students if I want to put in a behavior plan. Um, I guess that
You do
goes
lots
under
of
behaviors.
yeah, you do lots of amazing things. I think instead of deal with behaviors, you help with behaviors for
Yeah, I
sure.
always assist with behaviors.
Yeah, you do a great job at that. I think we should also say, like, as big as our school is, we do not have a vice principal. So it is our principal. And then I feel like our school counselor is sometimes in that like vice principal role, which is mostly viewed as like more of the disciplinarian. And sometimes you have to kind of help with that. Um, which makes it hard for you, I think, because sometimes like you want to be the school counselor, you don't want to be the disciplinarian.
Right.
So it makes it a little like gray area-ish, right?
Yeah. I don't like doing discipline.
No, no, and I don't think, like, you necessarily should, right? Jen and I this year, I wanted to bring this up, I didn't know when, I feel like this is a good time. Jen and I this year created a Google Classroom to help all the teachers in our school, like, assist with behavior. We just, like, started to notice that a lot of teachers are having similar struggles in their classrooms, and Courtney and I discussed this last week, but at like a classroom management level almost, or like individual student behavior management in the general education setting. And I think some teachers just don't know what they don't know. Whereas like you and I are coming from the special ed self-contained lens where like every kid needs something different. So we just see it differently. And I said this last week, it is at no fault of anyone's. Everyone just has a different perspective. So Jen and I put together a Google Classroom. It's super hyper organized and it
That's all you.
discusses it was both of us. It discusses and gives resources all about behavior and visuals and different schedules and systems that teachers can use with students or with their whole class to hopefully help teachers and students better get through their day. And we shared it with the whole staff. I think it was like halfway through the year we did this. I don't even remember. And I'm hoping teachers are using it. We also put like a Google form on there if they want our help or to talk to us about anything, they can fill out the form and we can help them. No one's done that yet. Shout out to our coworkers, fill out the form. But it was our way of kind of being like, we know behavior. We are like experts in this area. Use us. Like we want to help. We don't want to be like reactive. We want to be proactive about this. So like, here's a bunch of resources. So that's our little, what do we call it? Our like behavior support hub or something.
Yeah, behavior support classroom, something like that.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that at the beginning of the year to remind everyone. But yeah, it's been a minute. So anyway, that's a good idea if anyone listening feels like they have good ways of supporting their kids and they want to share it out. Having it all in the Google Classroom is super helpful in our opinion. So that's one idea. School counselors only work with kids who are struggling.
No. I work with all kids. I go into the classrooms, I teach my lessons. We have our character ed assemblies.
Yes.
And so I would say mostly, yeah, I'm going to be working with students who are struggling. But I'm there for every student.
Yeah. What about, are there any misconceptions parents sometimes come in having about you, or you find yourself having to kind of explain yourself because they don't have a clear idea of what you're there for?
So I think a lot of parents, not a lot of parents, but some parents might think that school counseling is like therapy. And it's not. So what I can do is school-based. I can't really, if they need more than that, that's when I would provide them the resources that I have, and they can, look for somebody outside of the school setting. And I'm always happy to work with that person outside of the school setting, but I think that's usually a misconception with parents.
What do you think that line is? Like, what is in the area of like, you can do this, or this is an outside situation, or sometimes is it both?
So sometimes it can be both. So I always say like whatever like is affecting them in school, like if they're having trouble focusing or maybe something is happening at home but it's affecting them in school.
Yeah.
So I think it would be helpful for me to be involved, but also like the outside person. Um Usually if we're talking about like self-harm, depression, eating disorders, those kind of things, I would recommend like an outside therapist.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, you just said this, so thank you again for transitioning us to our next topic. What do school counselors not do? Like, what are some things that people just assume are your responsibility, whether it's like family members that have no idea what you do, or parents, sometimes, like you just said, admin, teachers just assume you do certain things. What are some things that you think people think you're responsible for?
Um, so we kind of talked about this a little bit already, but like discipline.
Yeah.
It really makes it hard when I'm put in that position to discipline a student because I am supposed to be a safe person, a safe space for them to
Yeah.
talk about like struggles and think about it. If somebody's yelling at you and being like, you can't have recess now, um, are you really going to want to talk to that person about what's bothering you? Um,
Right.
so yeah, discipline definitely. And then again, we talked about I have no say of what placement a student gets or, where they go. I can only advocate so much and then it's out of my hands. So
Yeah.
those are things that really aren't in my control, I guess.
Yeah. How does like the confidentiality work when you're working with students? So like what can parents, even the teacher, expect for you to have to share, and what are you like not allowed to share? Is that a thing? Like how does that all work?
So I have 3 rules. If you are going to hurt yourself, if you're going to hurt someone else, or if someone's going to hurt you, I have to share. I
Yeah.
have to um, report that. Anything else can be kept between me and the student. Oftentimes, I'll tell the student, like, hey, I really think it would be helpful if your teacher knew this, or maybe we should let your parents know. Um, and if they say yes, I'm always willing to help them, like, share that with who I feel like it needs to be shared with. But if they say no, then, it stays between us. But oftentimes at the elementary level, students will be willing to share, like, once they know that that's going to help them with their problem.
Yeah. So let's get into the big topic I wanted to talk about today, something I am super passionate about, and I know you are, which is mental health in general. As much as I love talking about behavior and could do that all day with you, we'll move on for now to talking about mental health. So, obviously, in my opinion, there is big like mental health struggles happening right now, whether it's with the adults in the building, in like teachers in general, or the kiddos in our building and kids in general. So like what kind of concerns as a counselor are you seeing most often in the elementary level today?
Yeah, so I do think that mental health has become has like increased in the schools with students. I think there's a lot of pressure. And I really try to like have fun with them because I just feel like they need to have fun and loosen up a little bit so they
Yeah.
don't feel that pressure. But I think a lot of them, they feel like they have to be perfect. They can't make mistakes. They have to do it this way or it's wrong. And, I try to teach them that, nothing has to be perfect. It doesn't have to be this way. It could be a different way. Um, Same with teachers. I think teachers have a lot on their plates. And I try my best to help with that and alleviate that for them because I think more and more is asked every year of teachers, of staff, of, everyone in the building. And so I think mental health is a big, aspect of my job. And, I really try to pinpoint those students that really need that help, um, and assist the teachers with helping them as well, because I am one person and I can't get to all of them. So if, like, if I have the teachers and we can collaborate and talk about ways to help the students, that's always a helpful thing.
Yeah. When do you think teachers should start becoming concerned about a student's mental health? Like, what are some things teachers can look out for? Or if you also want to answer, like, what are some things parents can be looking out for at home?
So, yeah. So I always remind teachers and parents that just like you and me and just like them, we all have our bad days.
Yeah.
So if Timmy comes in and he's, has his head down and he's, he looks a little sad, it's not a bad idea to check in on him and see what's going on. But we all have our bad days. If every day that week Timmy is coming in and he's looking like not himself, and, you know, I always say you have like a gut, it's in your gut. Like you can tell. And I know that's not really probably answering the question, but
No, it is.
it's, you can tell if somebody isn't feeling themselves.
Yeah.
And so I always say that teachers are the first line of defense in that, because, like I said, I'm there as needed, but the teacher's with them every day. So they should feel most comfortable talking to their teacher.
Yeah.
And especially if you go out of your way and you want to check in on a student, that means the world to them that you took the time and were like, and as a parent of myself, I have a daughter in the district, and just knowing that people were looking out for her and like went out of their way to make sure she was okay, like that means so much. So like it might take a few seconds out of your day, but just to check in on that student means so much to that student, and I know it means so much to the parents. And then, depending on what that check-in looks like, then you call for, backup,
Yeah.
as I would call myself backup.
What are some things you think like parents could be looking out for? Is it kind of similar, like looking for changes in mood or their typical everyday behavior?
Yeah, so a lot of times, I know you would probably understand this, but like students that are acting out, like they're sometimes they might just be acting out, but a lot of times they're acting out for a reason. There's a reason behind it. And to check in on them like that, maybe I know some of the lunch aides will come to me and be like, hey, this student didn't eat their lunch, and they usually always eat their lunch, or they were sitting on the
Yeah.
playground. They didn't want to play with their friends. I'll have the specials teachers come up to me, and for me, that's like, cause they see them once every 6 days. So it's
Yeah.
like, hey, the past few times they don't really want to play the game. They've been sitting on the sidelines. Um, something they drew in art. So, it could be anything. But like I always say, like, kind of how last week, how Courtney had said, like, if in when in doubt, like call me. Like
Yeah.
I'd rather be in the know and be like, oh, why don't you try this, than like not know and then it like escalate.
Definitely. Yeah. And parents, do you just encourage them, like, if they feel like their child needs support, do you just encourage them to, like, contact you? Do they contact the teacher? Like, how do you go about communicating that to all the parents?
So at the beginning of the year, we send home like back to school like information. So I always provide my contact information, and I think by now parents know that they can, reach out to me, and I'm going to do the best that I can to, help their student, help them with their student.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know anything unless somebody tells it to me. So parents might say, "Oh, I've been struggling with this for months." And I'm like, "Well, I'm just hearing about this." So like the sooner you can tell me what's going on, the sooner I can help.
Definitely. So, speaking of helping kids with things, obviously, some of our kids go through really big life changes, even at the young ages, like of elementary level. So, things like divorce, grief, losing somebody, moving. changes at home, separations, like how do you go about helping kids with big things like that? And maybe what are some tips you have for teachers who have students that are going through those tough times?
Yeah. So it's never a fun topic to be discussing with a student. But I do, I have students that are going through some really difficult times. I have books, I have activities, but I think the best approach is I always let the student drive the conversation. Because if you think about it, like divorce, your parents are getting divorced or you've lost a loved one, you don't have control in that situation.
Yeah.
If I let them control the conversation that we're having right now, it gives them that control back a little bit. And I think that's really the hardest part of those is that you don't have control in it.
Yeah.
So if I can give them something, I want to help them.
Yep.
And oftentimes like they'll lead me to what we're going to do. Like if I feel like, "Oh, like you're talking about this, like I have a book about that. Do you want to read it together or I have this activity?" Or sometimes they just want to just sit and just they don't want to be in the classroom. They don't want to they want quiet.
Yeah.
And like that to me, I'm like that's huge. I get it. So, I really like with those topics, I really try to let them be like student driven because I want them to feel like they have some kind of control in their life at that moment.
What are some things you think teachers can do to help? I mean, checking in, obviously, offering breaks, obviously. Like, is there anything else? Because those are just such
Um,
big, heavy things.
I know like at our school there have been teachers they'll have lunch with a student, just feel like that they have somebody there for them. Like I'm always willing to have lunch with a student too, but
Yeah.
I mean, the teacher's the celebrity in
Yeah.
their lives, and, I'm not gonna compete with that.
Yeah.
Um, but, like, I'm always happy, like, if a teacher wants to have lunch with a student, like, I'll cover their class so that they still get their lunch, but that
Yeah.
at least they're there providing support to the student and can help them, during this difficult time.
Yeah. We do actually have the best teachers. So
Yeah.
I agree. Speaking of our amazing teachers, let's talk about teacher collaboration and you. We talked about it a lot already, but what makes teacher and counselor collaboration successful? Like, what are things that you do to best collaborate with teachers? What are things teachers could do to help you best collaborate? Like, both ways.
So I think it really like anytime you're mentioning collaboration, it's communication.
Yeah.
So if you're having an issue, again, I'm one person. So if you're having an issue, let me know. I always joke with the students, if I could have one superpower, it'd be a mind reader because it would make my job so much easier.
I know.
But I'm not, so I need help. And
Yeah.
so just having the teachers like reach out to me like, "Hey, I'm having a really tough time with this student. Do you think you could come and help?"
Yeah.
And then we sit down and we talk about it. And oftentimes, like, the teacher will come up with, like, what they wanna do, but it was just, like, a conversation we had. And it's really nice that we can kinda work together to do that. There'll be times where a teacher will come to me and be like, "I've tried ABC, nothing's working. Do you have something else?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, let's try this." So it's like it's like that give and take
Yeah.
where, have you tried anything? What have you tried? That kind of stuff. But I love collaborating with teachers because it helps me first of all get to know the teacher and like the strategies they like to use. Like every teacher's different. So the way that they're going to approach something is very different than how another teacher is going to approach something. And as the school counselor, that takes me a while to learn
Yeah.
because there's many teachers in one me. So to learn how each teacher does things differently, like I have a pretty good understanding now of how each teacher likes to do things. So, some teachers they're like, "No, I got this. Like I'm going to run it with these like behavior plans that I've made." And I'm like, "That's cool. If you need help, let me know." Other teachers like really want my input and like what I would do. Um, so I think it's a nice balance.
Yeah. So now that we have discussed most things of revolving your job, what you do, mental health, all of that. I want to do some hard parts of your job and rewarding parts of your job because I like doing this on here. I think it's nice for people to hear and maybe relate to. So, first, the hard parts. What is the most challenging part of being a school counselor? I'm sure there's many, but what is, in your opinion, the most challenging part?
That I can't teleport. Well, I really, you're joking. I really want to invest in one of those like scooters the mall cops have, like, and just go through the hallways on it.
No one gets more steps in a day than you.
Yeah. Um, no, but seriously, like most challenging part of my job would be like I can't be in 5 places at once. I wish I could, and some days I go home and I'm like really upset and I mentally beat myself up because I'm like I didn't get to that teacher or I didn't get to that student, and I feel like a failure at times because I'm like, oh my gosh, they needed me and I wasn't there for them. But it's so hard when you have so many issues coming in at once and you have to prioritize them. So it's, what's a safety issue? What's a self-harm issue? What's, I really, what was an issue that I didn't get to from yesterday that I really need to get to today? Um, so that really makes it hard. So I'd probably say that that's the most challenging.
Do you keep like a running list? Like, actually, how do you keep track of all the things that you have to do? And maybe this will help a school counselor out there.
So I try. Um, the things that I have scheduled, I put on my like Google Calendar. And then I have like my notepad on the side of my desk. So like anything additional I need to add, I'll just like write down. Um, it's sad because I'll cross off something on my list and then like 5 more things. Like it's like how they
Yeah.
say like you pluck a gray hair, like 5 more show up.
Yeah.
Literally how my to-do list is. Like I've checked something off and like 5 more things have popped up and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. But I have to say I'm never bored. The day goes by really fast.
Yes.
Um, I get to see a lot of students and teachers throughout the day. I get to work with parents, and so I get like the whole picture. Um, so that's always really nice. I have to remind myself of the pros.
Yeah. So, one more thing about the hard parts. How do you take care of yourself on difficult days or after difficult days? Hopefully, this can help somebody out there.
Um, so I know like the teachers, they come to me when they have issues. I like to think that I have a really good support staff at the school. And so like I know if I'm having a rough day, I could walk into any classroom or any person's office and just like scream or like cry
Yep.
or, I mean, the school nurse will tell you I'm sometimes hiding in her back room because I just need a minute where nobody's gonna find me.
Or our Zen den.
Yeah, or the Zen Den. But people will find me there, I feel like.
We'll find you. The
Yeah.
kids will find you.
Yes. So, but no, I feel like, and I feel like the staff at the school really does acknowledge and appreciate, which makes it that much more rewarding, of what I do. And so I have so many that always are checking on me. The school librarian, she lives next door to me at school, not here, like
Yeah, yeah.
at
In the
school.
school building, she's next
In
door
the
to
school building, she lives next door to me. She's always checking on me.
you. Yeah.
The interventionists are across the hallway and they're always coming to check on me. You do a fantastic job. You're texting me being like, "Are you okay?" Um, so I think I have a lot of support throughout the school that um it really does help. And I have the social worker who works at the school, and our jobs are very similar. So, like, if I'm unable to see a student, I'll like text her, say like, "Hey, could you pop in and check in?" And most of the time, like if she's free, she's willing to do that. So everybody works as a team, and I think
Yeah.
that really makes it better. I also every 3 weeks get my nails done, so that's for me.
Yes. When you go home, do you try to, as best you can, like turn it off? I mean, you have 2 little kids at home, so I feel like part of you has to, like you're almost forced to turn it off. But like, how do you do that? Because you do have a very like emotionally draining job.
Yeah. So I try really hard to leave work at work and home at home.
Yeah.
So, and nobody's perfect. Um, I've tried. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Mary Poppins has tried. But so I really try when I'm home with my kids to be 100% focused on them and
Yeah.
what they need. And like especially like my daughter's starting kindergarten this year, I want to help her with that. I don't know if they give homework in kindergarten, but
I
I
don't
want
know.
to help her.
I'm so
I
excited
want
for her.
I know. I want to help her with whatever she's going to be needing. Like my son is starting to talk and like you know in sentences, so I want to encourage that with him and play and all that. So like I really do. I try to turn it off. And like if I have to take work home with me, I do it when they go to bed. Like I
Yeah.
don't do it when they are awake. Um because I want to be available for them. I want to help them and you know whatever they're working on in school. School and home are connected so many ways. So I want to help my daughter's teachers as much as I can because you know that as a parent it's what I'm asking other parents to do.
Yeah.
So I'd be a little bit of a hypocrite if I didn't do that.
Well,
Um
and you're lucky enough, you know your daughter's teacher because your daughter's going to be at our school.
yeah.
So that is super lucky and cool for you.
Yeah, it'll be she wanted to know if she could be the third teacher in the classroom and I was like, "No." And she
Mm-hmm.
goes, "Well, I could do what you do." I was like, "Yeah, you go right ahead. I'll be the kindergarten student, you be the school
She'll
counselor."
also tell the principal, like, I could do what you do.
Yeah,
So you step aside. She also is going to go around calling me Rachel and everyone by their first name. So
I
we
know.
need to be training her.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think it's a lot. Like I think people need to be aware of their own time for their own mental health and for their, you know, self-care.
Yeah.
And school stays at school and home stays at home.
So we went over the hard parts. What do you think is the most rewarding part of your job? I think you've like mentioned it and like sprinkled it throughout this episode, but what do you think is the most amazing thing about your job or the most rewarding thing about your job?
Um, when a student gets something that we've been working on for a while, like they've got the coping skill that we've been working on for months, or they were able to handle a conflict themselves, like something that I drill into like as early as kindergarten is like try to handle it yourself. If you can't handle it yourself first, get an adult. I love when a student comes to me and they're like, "I had this issue, but I worked it out myself." I'm like, "Yes." Like it's just like that
Yes.
moment, like the light bulb goes off and
Yep.
I couldn't be more proud because it's they did it themselves. Another rewarding thing is I started a program 2 years ago within the school. It's our peer mentor program. So the fourth graders are selected based on, you know, what they've shown throughout the years and that they are responsible, respectful, and show all the character traits. And they go into the kindergarten classrooms and they teach the students those skills. I want to cry every time I go in and watch that happen because it is the sweetest thing you could imagine. And it's helping me because it's something that I've always wanted to do is to help the kindergartners with that. But again, I can't be everywhere.
Yeah.
So for them to get that like confidence boost and like the leadership role and be able to help the kindergartners, it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
like and I'm not actually doing anything. It's the fourth graders, but it's such a nice feeling. It's so rewarding. Like just having that program in our school, it's just so like the feedback that I've gotten from the kindergarten teachers, the
Yeah.
kindergarten students, the fourth grade students, the parents, they oh, I won't forget one of the teachers told me that one of the students it was take your child to work day, but it was a Thursday. It was her day to do peer mentors, to go down to the kindergarten room. And she told her mom she couldn't go to work with her because she had a job and the kindergartners were relying on her. And when I heard that, I wanted to cry
I
because
just
it was
got
just like,
chills. Oh my
it was
God.
just the sweetest thing I had ever heard. And like to know that it meant so much to her to be a peer mentor, like it is an honor. It's, you know, it's a leadership
Yeah.
role, but it was just like one of those things like, it would have been okay if she went to take your child to work day, but doing that and being there for the kindergartners meant so much to her. Like that's I just yeah, that's I love
That's
that.
yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that program because I think a lot of people listening will want to replicate that or do some form of that. It's such a good thing we have at our school, and they do a lot of different things. Not only do they go to the kindergarten classrooms, they help with other tiny little things. Like I know at least for my class, I'll say to Jen, like, hey, I could really use some peer mentors to help with dismissal and getting some of my kids to the bus. It's a difficult transition for them. And I think having another kid help would be motivating for my kids.
Yeah.
And within a day, she has like a million volunteers to help my kids get down to their bus. So they do so many things. And I think it's an awesome program. It's super motivating for the students to want to be a peer mentor and show that good behavior throughout the years so that they get selected as one because it's not just everybody. So I think it's amazing. And I'm so proud of you for starting that because it's really cool.
Yeah. I would say that's one of my like top achievements since
Yeah.
I've been a school counselor at the school is the peer mentor program, and they love doing that. And I always think like for students, like it's got to be hard. You don't want to seem different. You want to feel like all the other kids. So walking with like a peer mentor to the bus is something so simple, but it's
Yeah.
such a nice way to one end your day and like, to make a friend, to have like that, that bond.
Oh, yeah, and, like,
It's
I'm cool and all, but, like, they'd rather walk with a kid than
Well,
me.
yeah, I get that. So, and you get that too. So it's like it, and again, it gives them another opportunity to be a leader in the school. So I
Yeah.
just really,
I think
yeah,
we definitely will continue that this year. I think it's awesome, and I love what you just said about, like, them not feeling different because I think at one point we did it as, like, a need. We needed it because some of our kids were going to aftercare, like, whatever the situation was, we just, like, actually needed the support, but I don't think I thought about it in that way, so thank you for saying that. I think, like, our kids being the only self-contained class in the school do sometimes look a little different because they have the aides following them around. And how cool is it if they don't have to have the aides following them around at dismissal when, like, the whole school is out and about walking by themselves? So definitely you and I will have to chat and figure out which peer mentors are gonna wanna come walk my buddies to the bus. And even at, like, arrival in the morning. I think that's such a good idea, so
yeah. And oftentimes they're on the same buses. So
yeah.
like it does work out really nicely.
Yeah. Before we sign off, I want us to show off our cool shirts that we're wearing. I know you're wearing a school counselor one, and I just realized I'm wearing one that you will appreciate. So do you wanna share yours first for those
Sure.
watching on YouTube?
So mine says counseling is my jam, and then it has jars of jam, and it says problem solving, empathy, inspiring, innovative, supportive, personalized support, mental health, and advocacy.
I love that one. Do you remember where you got it or no?
Etsy.
Etsy, of course. So
Yeah.
you can find it on Etsy. Mine says, "You can do hard things." And this is from Callie Danielle. I've had it for years, and it's one of my favorite shirts.
I love inspirational shirts.
Oh, yeah.
I ordered a ton for this school year. I went crazy, but
I can't
they
wait.
make me happy, and the kids love them too.
Yeah,
Um,
and we don't have a dress code at our school, thank goodness. So we can wear a t-shirt or a sweatshirt or whatever.
I have to dress comfy with my sneakers so I can get around the building.
Yeah, miss like a million steps a day. So I want to close out the episode because I think we definitely talked everyone's ear off. And I want to have you back on and dive deeper into some of these topics because I definitely think we could talk for hours, but we just wanted to make
Sure.
sure we touched a little bit on each subject. And I wanted to make sure I had you on during my summer guest series.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Jen, thank you so much for coming on today and giving us a better understanding of everything that school counselors do. I know that I can personally say that our school would not function the same without you. My classroom would not, I would not function the same without you. And I think that
Thank you.
listeners are walking away with a whole new appreciation for the role that you play. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would love if you would leave a comment or a review, share it with another educator. Make sure you subscribe so that you catch all of the episodes coming your way. And don't forget, there is one more amazing guest coming next week. So make sure you tune in for that. And then for September, we'll be taking a little break, but I'll talk to you more about that next week. So thank you, Jen, and I will see you guys next week.
Bye.